Good evening. The big JG and the big EB back in the hot seats tonight to discuss England, Bangladesh and Pakistan, Sri Lanka. Two very good games, actually. I haven't spoken to you for a couple of days, though, Huge. Quickly, what have you been up to? Anything exciting?
Rugby World Cup, Cricket World Cup, work, walking the dogs. That's it. Nice and simple, short and sweet. How about yourself?
A bit of golf with Simon and his 16 of us. I won. Short and sweet. So yeah, but very nice. Glorious weather for mid-October.
Because it's now going to turn to shit because the weather starts getting cold. We're back down to highs of 15. We've got rain coming at the end of the week. Beautiful Lovely. English autumn weather coming, which is my favorite time of year, I'll have you know.
Well, luckily, I'm off to Spain on Saturday for a few days, so I don't care. Although I am playing golf on Friday in Hunstanton, which is on the coast, on a links course, and it looks like it's going to be basically hell. Hell on a golf course. And we're playing 36 holes. Great. So we'll get wet twice. But yes, we're here to talk about the cricket, aren't we? So we should talk about the cricket. We will start with the first game of the day, England against Bangladesh. Now, Simon has obviously given Bangladesh absolutely no hope of doing anything in this tournament, but they won their first game and won it reasonably convincingly against Afghanistan, didn't they? But today, did England just get too many?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the top tier sides versus no disrespect to them, but the bottom tier sides, you can just see the class. There's just different class in the batting, different class in the bowling. I'm not going to talk about the fielding because the outfield was that bad that I don't think we saw any good fielding today. It was very, very sandy, and I don't think anybody threw themselves around. But yeah, you can definitely see the difference between the two sides in that quality.
Yeah. Obviously, David, 100, Johnny, it must be 50 odd. He was out. I actually watched it until just before he was out. I think Joe got 80 again, didn't he? Butler 20, Livingston 20. And they lost. Didn't they lose something like 7 wickets for about 64 or something like that? Which, you know, they probably could have got up towards 400. Maybe that's a bit of an issue or something that they might want to look to improve upon. But you'd say, and obviously with such a poor net run rate after the first game, then net run rate has gone from like -2 point something to now plus 0.55. So they've righted a lot of wrongs today in that game, haven't they?
Yeah. As you say, the only negative, if we're being super critical, was their finishing. You know, you look at Livingston, Curran, Wokes, Rashid, Wood and Topoly, they hardly got any runs between them. You know, they scraped to that 364 instead of chasing what most of the other sides have gotten against some of the tier 2 sides is, 400 plus. So, yeah.
On that, obviously, we just mentioned something briefly off air that we didn't really talk about because we wanted to talk about on here. You've got something you just want to bring up about the quality of the pitches.
Yeah. What I've noticed is, and I'm just looking purely, there's 2 ways to look at it, as a batsman and as a bowler. The bowlers are having an absolute mare because the pitches are playing so well. You know, what we used to normally see out in India is, these absolutely rages that turn sideways. However, what the curators from the ICC have done is seem to have left a lot more grass on, which has meant the pitches have played a lot more true. And you could argue, look, they've been doing that for the IPL and we've seen some very good pitches in the IPL. But then when obviously touring nations come into tour, the Indian curators tend to leave it and it turns square. From my perspective, it's been one of the best batting displays I've seen. I think I haven't got the data or the stats to back it up, but when you look at it, there have been more hundreds so far in this World Cup than I can count on one hand at the moment. There was more hundreds today. It's just been one of those where to be a bowler in this World Cup is you're doing that for the love of the game, not for any joy. But yeah.
Talking of bowlers, one slight concern would be Chris Wokes from an England perspective. So this was something that the Sky commentators brought up. Now, we know historically he doesn't really travel that well red ball-wise, but white ball-wise, he's always tended to do quite well. But he ended up with a couple of wickets today, but early doors was expensive. He's gone at just over 60s today, 2 for 49 off 8. Not really showing it. Rashid doesn't look quite as effective. The pitches probably aren't turning as much as we would expect them to. I think Wood's still scaring people. He bowled 2 overs at above 150 Ks today. It's like just nuts back to back. Rhys Topoly's bowled incredibly well today, was on a hat-trick. And actually, I think it was Shakib Al Hassan, shouldered arms to one, but it was just going up through a hat-trick ball, but it was just going down the leg side. So what is your assessment of England as a whole at the minute? As, you know, obviously 2 games in, 1-1 lost 1. But where do they're starting to trend the right way?
Yes, it's been well documented. They have the toughest of the travel schedules. And we mentioned this last night that they actually don't play a game or 2 games at any single stadium. They travel for every single game. So they've got the toughest schedule. And it might be, I mean, you know, Robert said it last night, it might be because that was by choice to make sure that, you know, the World Cup champions have probably the biggest struggle because they, you know, conceivably are the favourites. They are definitely trending in the right way. You know, Rhys Topoly bowled some absolute beauts today to get rid of that ball, to get rid of Shakib Al Hassan was just an unbelievable beat, clipping the top of off, being on a hat trick. The England coach was probably the happiest I've ever seen him when that second wicket went down. It seemed like there was a bet going on in the change room. It'd be interesting to know what they were actually talking about. But I think, you know, the spinners really came into their own. I watched a lot of the end of the innings, and Rashid and Livingston bowled superbly well. You know, Rashid was bowling, you know, the wrong ends. He was really, and you'd expect that for when they're bowling at the tail enders. The challenge is, how do you get to the tail ends? And you could see that today, you know.
I've just checked, there've been 500s today alone. In 2 games, 4 in the second game. We'll come on to in a minute.
You know, Linton Duss chucked his wicket away. He could have scored 100 there. Mustafa Rabin batted superbly well again, you know, strange shot, guiding it down to third man to get out. There was just runs on offer. And that's what I was saying. If you can get through your top order, and this sort of brings me on to, you know, my comment that I made when South Africa played, is I'm really worried because if you get through South Africa's top 6, they're going to be bowled out for next to nothing because they only have 6 batsmen. Where when I looked at England, and they didn't show it today, unfortunately, just going back to, you know, what do I think of England? They've probably got the longest tail of any of the sides, which today I think they just went too hard, and hopefully they learned from that.
Oh, the shortest tail, you mean the longest batting lineup?
The longest batting lineup, the longest. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. I was reasonably impressed with England today. Bangladesh, I don't think they're going to be featuring the top 4, Bangladesh, but I was watching it today and I was thinking they're a lot better side than I think Simon's given them credit for. And, you know, they've got some canny cricketers. Linton Duss has scored runs in both games. But I can't see them troubling the top 4, but I think they might cause a couple of upsets, you know. So it's going to be a tricky fixture for probably most of the sides in the tournament. On to the second game.
It was a cracker, wasn't it?
Cracker of a game of cricket. As I say, Kusal Mendes, you know, backing up his brilliant knock the other night with 122. Samara Wickrama, 108, as Sri Lanka put up 344 for 9 from 50 overs. Now,
when I saw that, I was almost going to message Simon saying, I think you spoke too soon, mate, because I thought that was a winning target.
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously being a day-nighter, it didn't look like there was loads of dew that came down towards the back end of it. But, you know, when you've got to chase 7s from the word go, mentally, that's going to be difficult for, I don't care who you are, you know, which makes that, you know, when South Africa chased down 4-3-8 against Australia all those years ago, the Bull Ring. I think it was at the Bull Ring.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You know, that the mentality with which to go about, you know, building an innings like that, it was phenomenal. But, you know, we then see Mohammad Rizwan, class act, as we all know he is, 131 off 121, went down with cramp after playing a shot. Literally looked like someone had shot him, and it just ended up sprawled out on the floor. But Pakistan looked dangerous, and I can see Sri Lanka causing people some issues as well.
Yeah, they look. Sri Lanka had the best of the batting conditions, in my opinion. I didn't think it was that easy for the Pakistan side to bat because towards the middle end, the ball started doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things, which is, you know, where you saw Rizwan and Shafiq really hold it together and really dig in. They just were really lucky that they got off to a cracking start early on. You feel a little bit for Babar Azam, not not scoring any runs. I sort of backed him to be the top run scorer. Simon backed Rizwan. He's obviously winning by some distance at the moment.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think, when you sort of mentioned that the bowling attacks, I mean, Sri Lanka's bowling attack it was really struggling, but I didn't think they bowled that badly. And then I looked at their figures and I went, yeah, they bowled that badly. But when you're watching it live, you're thinking to yourself, these are just good cricket shots. It's not like it's slogging or it's, agricultural shots. These are class cricket shots that these guys are playing. And it was interesting to hear Rizwan's interview at the end of the game, and specifically that question around cramp. He said some of them were cramp, some of them were acting, which is interesting to see why he would do that. Yeah. Amazing. By the way, that post-match interview, Rizwan's my new favorite character. He is so jovial and bouncy, and he speaks so well. It was actually really good to watch that post interview.
Does that young lad who bowls with a very similar style to Malinga Thirana.
Yeah.
Now, people talking about taking him out of the firing line because he's gone 1 for 90 off 9 today. And in their previous game, really struggled as well. I think 94 off his 10. So, obviously, when we talked about the game when they played against South Africa, we were just saying that they bowled too much slot, didn't they? And I just wonder whether that... He kind of has to bowl full, I think, because of that trajectory. Malinga was brilliant at slower balls, and this lad's slower balls are just disappearing, certainly back end to tonight. For a young cricketer like that, is it better to take them out of the firing line, or do you just keep exposing him to it and think, because they've got quite a young bowling attack at this World Cup, Sri Lanka.
They do, yeah.
So is it about, okay, we use this one as experience and we're building towards the next World Cup? What's the balance?
There's 9 games. He's going to get that experience in these 9 games in the firing line on the world stage. I don't think there's ever such a bad thing as a bad experience. Every experience, I mean, you look at Ben Stokes when he got hit for 4 sixes in the Cricket World Cup final T20 competition, and he's now come back from that to be arguably the world's best cricketer in most formats. But yeah, from my perspective, keep going. He's got to keep, learning from it. And I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's analysing, and his coaches are behind him, his teammates are around him, and making sure that he understands that, for one, the pitches are really flat. 2, the boundaries are really small. Given different circumstances, he's gonna come out on top. But keep going, and hopefully he'll learn from it.
The one thing that really annoyed me about this evening's game is I'm not doing all that well in Super Brew, but I was confident Pakistan were going to win. And then I looked, and had they have lost one more wicket, I would have got... it would have been Pakistan comfortable, but it ended up as Pakistan easy, which loads of people backed. So now I'm even further behind. But yeah, I'm not... My powers of prediction, as per usual, are not showing themselves to be any good, quite frankly. You're doing all right, I think.
Yeah, I'm doing all right, but not the best. I mean, when you say I'm doing all right, I'm 24th out of 51, so I'm not doing the best of us. I'm definitely above you and Simon, as far as I understand.
Yes,
it's good. Yeah, good to see. Guess you see who's at the top. Fruit bet.
Fruity's he's saying tied second here, but
yeah, he is. He's tied second, but Bryn, he's got one more result right. Fruit bet, and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah. So there's what position are you? I'm 34th or something.
Where are you? Sorry,
like 34th, I think.
Okay.
Robbo's like 47.
Robbo's 48 now. You're 36th, and I'm 24th.
Okay, so I'm not doing quite as badly as I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not as bad.
I'm not going to trouble the winners any week, am I? But let's be honest. But I don't know how many more games are left in round 1.
There's one more game left in the round. So, India play against Afghanistan tomorrow, of which you and Robbo will be kindly taking up the reins for that. And then round 2 starts on the 12th. So we do have one more game tomorrow, and then we move on to round 12, and we'll find out who that...
I can't win this week, so...
No. But we will find out who the yellow cap holder is and the wooden spoon holder is, and then we'll have to give them a shout out. Well, you lads will have to give them a shout out tomorrow night.
Yes, right. Well, yeah, I need to do some serious thinking about my picks, and I need to do that before I get to Spain, because I'm going away with 2 fellas who you know well, and it will probably involve drinking, which means that I need to get them sorted before I go. So yes, looking forward to a few days away with Mr. Christopher Peplow and Mr. David Holt.
Oh.
So, yeah, a couple of rounds of golf down in Marbella and, probably far too much wine. So, but yeah, we will, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'll be with you again before that. I will be with you tomorrow alongside Robbo to discuss India versus Afghanistan. Eugene, thank you so much to you for being a wonderful man that you are, as always, and joining me this evening. And, people will hear from you again in a couple of days' time. Cheers.